everyone. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Valentina.
And we're your hosts for the Ethical Brand Podcast. Thank you for your patience. I know we're a little bit late on posting this last episode of the season. We had some illnesses come through and we wanted to make sure we felt better before we recorded the episode. Because this is our last episode of the season, we were really excited to create something for our audience. And it's going to be the base of what we're doing today in our podcast. So far, we've talked a lot about ethical marketing philosophy. So today we're turning it into action. We created a free guide that you can download, and we'll use it to walk through our practical digital marketing strategies for conscious brands. Let's start with why we made it and why it begins with a disclaimer. So Valentina, you are the mastermind behind this document. Can you tell us why you created it?
Yes, I'm super excited with this document because after making it, I thought, wow, how much I would have loved to have this when I started at the beginning of my digital marketing services, when I was starting to provide these services and applying all the things that I was listening to and learning about how to do digital marketing. It's a document that it's intended for giving exactly and specific steps that people can apply to their marketing strategy, to their businesses. And if you think about it, a lot of the time that you study marketing, if you're trying to learn about how to do marketing for your business online and looking at videos or podcasts or reading information, most of the time it's hard to find specific instruction. And this is because in marketing, we always tailor all the strategy specifically to each business. Each business has some different values that they offer or different resources that they can use or are stronger in some parts than others. And so it's really hard to find information that you can clearly apply. But at the same time, I know it's super important because if you don't know much about marketing and you hear all of these big words and all of these big strategies and ideas, it's really hard to break them down into action. And so it's hard to start. You don't know where to start. So what I wanted to do is try to simplify all the information you can find online, simplify it into a step-by-step guide that you can follow and you can try out. So should we start talking about what's in the guide?
Amazing. Yeah. So I took a look at the document and I know that you built everything around the sales funnel, but not everyone, like you mentioned, knows these marketing terms. So what exactly is a sales funnel and how does it work?
So it's a step-by-step process that tries to take people from not knowing your brand at all, not knowing you exist, not knowing what you have to offer, to becoming customers. And even more, to becoming recurring customers and becoming loyal customers for your business to other people. So to have those people go from one stage, we intentionally build steps for them to follow, and we intentionally guide them from one step to the other. So you go from awareness, then you create an interest, and then when the person is interested in your product, you make them do a second step and engage with your brand. And then from engagement, you go to conversion when they become actual customers, and then you move them through loyalty and advocacy. And I think you'll understand what these sales funnels are about and how they work when we go through each of the funnels. So the reason why I built everything through sales funnel is because I think it's a great way to break down into action a digital marketing strategy. A digital marketing strategy has a lot of steps, a lot of things you have to consider. And after you've reviewed all those steps, which hopefully you kind of know already, who's your audience, what's your value proposition, and all of those things, then you put it into action through building a sales funnel. I mean, it's the most organized way to bring it into action. So that's why this document presents 3 different sales funnels for 3 different types of businesses. Hopefully, your business falls into one of those 3 categories.
Perfect. Okay, so you mentioned that you divided the businesses into 3 categories. Why did you do that, and which are they?
I did that because of what we talked about in the beginning. It's because it's complicated to one sales funnel that would work for everyone. I had at least to reduce it to a business category so that it could work for everyone. So I had to reduce it to the broadest category that once could work for. And so I created these 3 different categories. Again, one e-commerce brand selling products or services, one personal brand, and a local service business.
So let's get into them. Let's start with the e-commerce example. What are the digital marketing strategy steps you propose for an e-commerce business?
Okay, so let's say you have an e-commerce and you want to drive people from not knowing you to becoming customers. The first step you need to go through is to create awareness and put your services and product in front of people. And what I think is one of the best ways to do this nowadays is through social media content. So the first step that I propose in this sales funnel is creating social media content. After that, we can promote some of the social media contents that work best with paid advertising. The third step is creating a lead magnet in your website. So from content, you promote the content that is working best already organically. From that content, you send people with a call to action to your document, sign up to your lead magnet on your website. And that way you get people to go from the social media to your website. Once in your website, they can fill up the information to get the lead magnet, and there you get their email too. So from that step, the following step is doing email marketing and contacting them and giving them information, hopefully information that creates engagement, that creates more interest in your brand, and that leads them to buy. And the last step of the funnel would be building longer relationship with these people. And what you can do is create a reward program that not only rewards purchases, but also rewards the sharing, the engagement, sharing the content, referring to a friend, and anything that can bring other people to your brand.
Okay, that's awesome. So that was a lot of information. So I have 2 questions to help break it down a little bit. What you mentioned, creating content for the start of your sales funnel so that people are aware of you. So my first question is, what is important to consider when creating that content?
It's great that you asked this question because the way you create content is so important, both for communicating consciously, for the content actually working. So one thing to consider is to create very different formats of content. Maybe reels, then carousels, maybe with music, without, with somebody talking, without somebody talking, with more like generic trends, without trend, more profound, more superficial, like shorter, longer. It's great to do many different type of contents because every audience relate and engage with different type of content. So it's good to try different things so that you can know what your audience responds to. And the second thing that is very important to always consider is to use positive messages in your content. So you want content that is kind, that talks kindly to your audience. You want content that is inclusive, that shows different body types, different demographics, different realities. And you want to talk about all the impact you do, of course, as an ethical brand.
Right. And people can refer back to our last episode about how to grab attention, because we go deeper into those topics on that episode. Okay, so my second question about the sales funnel that you mentioned was, you kept mentioning to create a lead magnet. Can you give us an example of what a lead magnet can look like?
So for example, let's say your brand is an ethical fashion brand. There's different lead magnets you can do. Usually those are quizzes, educational content. If you're an ethical fashion brand, you could create, for example, a true cost guide to show the costs behind all the things, behind the products that they buy. Or you could create a sustainable fashion handbook. And it's a great example because it gives information to people. It helps them become more conscious consumer. So even if they don't end up buying from your brand, you're still giving a lot of value to them. And also when they read that and they learn how to become more conscious consumer, then they'll be more inclined to buy from you because now they've learned all these important things that your brand does.
So a lot of times it can be like educational. People like that. They like to learn.
One thing to consider, it's true, people really like educational content, but if you can make it engagement, it's even better, because just downloading information sometimes is more information on top of more information of what we hear all the time or read all the time. If you can make it engaging, if you can make it a quiz, if you can make them go through steps, then it's going to be even more useful.
So let's move on to digital marketing for a personal brand. What are some strategy steps that you propose for someone that has a personal brand?
So in this funnel, we've changed some stuff, not because the first funnel wouldn't work, but because what we want to push forward here is the personality of the person in the brand, in the personal brand, right? So instead of having just content in social media, which could also, like I said, work, here I propose creating an event based on community building. I propose that you partner with a local space. It could be a co-working, it could be a coffee place, it could be a cultural space, a hotel. There's many places who are interested in you creating an event in their places, because this brings people to the place and they could either buy at the moment of the event or become future customers. So it's a really good idea. Don't be shy to ask people to partner with you for this. It's a great step. And also another thing that it brings is that you can benefit from their already existing audience to bring an audience to yourself if you're just starting, for example. So the first step would be to create an event in your city with partnering with a local space. And in that event, you can talk about yourself, talk about how you do stuff. And I believe that in-person events help you to really show your essence and how you approach stuff. So I think they work great.
So I really like the idea of partnering with local spaces to bring awareness to your brand. But can you give an example of what a personal brand could be? Like who could do exactly what you're saying? I mean, I know it's probably a lot of different examples, but just to have a clearer view or like a vision of who could do this.
So in the document, we offer as an example a business coach, but it could be anyone offering a service that is related to who they are. So it could be an astrologist, it could be a yoga teacher, it could be anyone who relies a lot on who they are and that they know that people will resonate with their service and buy from them because of who they are.
Okay. Okay. Great. Awesome. Thank you.
So in this example, after the event, we want to keep in touch with those people, right? That came to the event. So what we do is we create a communication channel. It could be Telegram channel, a WhatsApp channel, anything, a Slack channel. There's a lot of platforms that today offer you a way to create a community through messages, video call, events. So it would be great to have a place to send them to keep in the community. So let's say you create a chat where they can connect with you. What you want to do there is make sure that the community helps the community. So you don't want to be the only ones there. You want people to be able to help each other and foster that sense of community. And you also want to have people talking about their pain points, how they are related to the offers that you have, right? So when they talk about their issues, you can reply and explain how your services could help them further. You can, of course, it would be great to at least offer a fast, quick way to solve their issue, but then you can also explain how they would benefit from getting the bigger version of your offers. And that's how you send them to your bigger offers and how you drive them to become customers. In this case, you can just keep the community going with this channel, creating more events, and just keeping the community strong. That's how they will bring more people to the community.
Can you give an example of how to keep the community strong? I know, like, I personally have tried to start like Discords of communities, and I know it can be a struggle to figure out how to get people engaged, how to get people to stay and to join. And so how can you give advice on that?
Yeah, of course. It's similar to why it's hard to create content, because it's another way to create content at the end. It's just that you you do it just by text or by voice or by video, but you do it inside of a channel, right? It becomes hard to do when you leave it to having to come up with those ideas day by day, how you wake up that morning and what you want to share. If you leave it by, how do you say, te lo dejas a la casualidad? Like if you leave it to the.
Yeah, I was just say if you don't have a strategy.
So if you don't have a strategy for how you're going to create that content, if you don't have previous ideas set, if you don't know how you're going to do it and what you're going to talk about, then it becomes hard to have new ideas all the time. But what we do is we create a structure with, I call them seed ideas, because it's the nucleus, the concept, the essence of what we want to talk about, which usually it's more than one thing. And from that main idea, we can create many different smaller ideas. So let's say in this example, we have a business coach, right? Business includes a lot of topics. It can include finance, it can include marketing, it can include, how to be aligned with your goals in business, how to many things. So let's say one of the topics is your business plan. Then we can have different questions around how to build your business plan. How can you review your business plan and make sure you're going on the right direction? We can have many questions inside the business plan. And so from that seed idea, you come up with many different ideas every month. And through a channel, you can either ask a question, for example, and let people answer. And with the answer, you'll see if somebody has an issue, and then you can continue on those questions and ask other people how they've resolved those issues. And that's how you make it so that the same community is offering support, and not only you're guiding the conversation, you're pointing out to the right answers and all of that, but you make sure that the community also answers the questions of the other community members. And that's how you keep it engaging. You can also offer people to share stuff, say to people something like, for example, I've seen community where they have Fridays for sharing your project. So every Friday, the community share their own projects. And that's also a way to make people connect to each other and feel like they have a reason to stay in that community and feel like what they're doing is seen. So there's many little things you can do. You can also jump in different communities to see what you like about other ideas that other people are having, and try different things, have them structured before, and just come up with those seed concepts that you can then apply in different ways throughout the month and the year.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So let's move on to the next example. We had a local service, right? So something that you can walk down the street and go experience, right? A business that you can support that is local to you. But we want to talk about the digital marketing strategies for them. Can you tell us what that would look like?
Yes. So in this case, we want to bring people to a specific place. So what makes it different from the other sales funnel is that we need not everybody to know about your business. We need specifically people who live in your area to know about your business. Mm-hmm. So how do we do that? In the idea that I propose is to create user-generated content on social media. That relieves you from the need to come up with ideas for content creation and trying to reach an audience, especially because it's not as easy to reach a local audience on social media just by creating content. So you need to either add paid ads so that to make sure that who sees it is local, or you can do this idea that I'm proposing, which is user-generated content. If you have a bigger budget and your local service is kind of exclusive or high end, then you can use influencers who have an audience that is specific to your city. You mentioned user-generated content, and then you also mentioned partnering up with influencers. Are those different things? Is that the same? They're different in the way they usually work, in the agreements you do with these people. User-generated content is content that is generated by your user. The user meaning the people who use your service. So this can be incentivized through discounts, through promotions, through offerings, and you can ask the people who are already using your services to create content of them using your offer.
Could that be like they're in the space using your service and then you record them, or is it from their own personal profile?
Yes, usually it's them creating the content through their point of view and posting them in their personal profiles. The way it comes out is very similar to influencer because it's the same way they do it. It's just that with user generated content, you don't need to have deals with influencers who usually are expensive or need a bigger deal, and also do everything in a more professional way. Here, instead of having a few big influencers, we want smaller influencer, let's say, is like it's people who just share about with their own audience, which it's probably from the same city, at least a part of it. So it's less expensive, it's easier, but it requires more effort in the sense that you have to talk with more people, come up with some type of strategy for get them to do that content for you. If you don't have clients yet, you can also do the same, offering, for example, a free class, a free session, a free service in exchange for content. And that's also, it's a little bit more similar on how you do it with influencers, but it doesn't have to be someone who has a big following to do it.
All right, so that's a great start for your strategy. How would that sales funnel continue?
Okay, so after that content is created, you want also them to post a code, some sort of code with discounts, so that you can track the results of what you're doing and you can see how many people are coming to your service thanks to this activity that you're doing. Once these people come to your classes, and you can offer them a free class again or a discount or something like that to push them to try your services. Once they go through your service, you want to gather their contact information for a follow-up. So after they gone through your services, you want to send them a message and be like, how was your class? How was your session? Did you like the service? Imagine, I don't know, you're offering a massage. How are you feeling after the massage? If you're offering whatever thing that brings a transformation, you want to know how they're feeling after that transformation. And this way you create a connection with them, and that is based on true interest, because you really want to know how it works for them. So you have a conversation with them, you try to see if it worked for them, if they needed something different maybe, and you can offer it, or if not, if they actually are really happy with what you offer, you get them to commit to a bigger offer. Then, as always, the final step is how you build loyalty. And in this case, the best thing you can do is celebrate your clients. Celebrate, I don't know, their birthday, for example. You can do an event for all the birthday of that month, for example, all the people that have their birthday in that month. You can celebrate their achievements. You can share information about them in a channel, celebrate them all the time so that they can feel like they are in a place where people really care about them, and so that others can also be inspired by the achievements of your clients.
Okay, thank you for breaking down all of these like big concepts and putting them into categories. I know that this was a very quick run through, but in the document, I know that you went deeper into the details of what these strategies would look like, right?
Yes, I wanted us to go through this information quick so that you can like hear how it works and understand it better through this format. But of course, if you can download the document, which is free for everybody, you can see how I go deeper in each step. I provide more examples. I offer variations for in case you don't like one of the steps or you can't afford one of the steps. So I think it's a very valuable document to go through, and I suggest that people do if they have a business and they want to share it with the world.
Yeah, that sounds so nice. What if one of our listeners doesn't have the resources to complete one of these steps? What would you recommend they do?
Yeah, so in the document, we have variations if they can't complete one of these steps. But of course, we also advise people to learn more about sales funnel, learn more about strategies. I know it's hard to find good strategies online because I've researched them, but there are some available. There's books that are really good that we can advise you if you want to go deeper in this. And also, if you try to apply this and you try to make it work, and there's maybe just one step that is not working or one step that you don't know how to actually apply to your business, we offer very affordable one-time sessions where we can give you a lot of value. You don't need to have, a full strategy done if you have most of the work already done. We can help you like pinpoint exactly what's not working and change it. And if you need help for like a full strategy, we also offer that. You can check all of our services, of course, in our links.
Amazing. This is exciting, and we're excited to share the document with our audience and to our listeners. You can find the document by clicking on the link in the description of this podcast. We also in our bios on our socials, we have a resource link. You'll find it there as well. So we'll try to make it as accessible as possible, but it'll definitely be in the description of this episode.
As always, we're really interested in your opinion. Let us know if you found this video valuable, if you find the document valuable, if you feel like you need more information from us, or you would like to have us dive deep in some other topics, let us know.
Yes, and thank you for listening to our first season of the Ethical Brand Podcast. We are so excited for what we're building for season 2, where it's going to be a completely different format, and we've already got things lined up for it. So stay tuned for that. We are excited to share it with you. As always, please share and like this, subscribe wherever you're listening to this. It really helps us. It's a free way to support us, especially sharing it with anyone that you think it could help. If you are interested in any of our services, you can find it on our website at theethicalbrandstudio.com.
Andrea, can we spoil something about how the new season is going to be?
Sure. We can say that we are going to have some very interesting people.
Very interesting.
And that's all I'm going to say. So thank you again, and we'll see you in the next season. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Ethical Brand Podcast. If something we said sparked a thought or shifted your perspective, we'd love to hear from you. You can find us on all socials at The Ethical Brand Studio, or head to theethicalbrandstudio.com to learn more about how we support conscious brands, artists, and nonprofits. And if you're enjoying the podcast, one of the best ways to support us is by sharing it with a friend or leaving a review on your favorite platform. It helps more people find us and keep these conversations going. Until next time.